This is my Draw My Life video, and I would do this on a dry erase board, but they haven't invented dry erase markers yet. This is me, Sandra, but my friends call me Sandy. I live in a small suburban Levitt town, minutes away from New York City. I was born in 1942. However, I was born inside of the big city, where my parents gave birth to me. This was around the time of World War II, where so much craziness and conflict was happening. I thought this had absolutely nothing to do with me, or so I thought. Nuclear weaponry innovations of World War II would soon lead to nuclear weaponry threats of the Cold War. It also led way to a stable economy, which meant a stable lifestyle. This stable lifestyle was the 1950s, my late childhood and entire teenage years. It was new and more colorful than years past. Music was one of the painters of this colorful lifestyle. Artists like Doris Day, Peggy Lee, Frank Sinatra, and Elvis Presley created a sound for both teenagers and adults to relate to and rock out to. Since we lived so close to the big city, my parents would drag me to Broadway. Unfortunately, I have songs from The King and I, The Sound of Music, South Pacific, Guys and Dolls, My Fair Lady, Gypsy, West Side Story, and Damn Yankees stuck in my head forever. Nevertheless, music was connecting people. After all, rock and roll is a combination of black soul music and white folk music. This was only the beginning of a movement. The civil rights movement began in the late 1940s when Harry S. Truman banned racial discrimination in federal employment. However, the 1950s provided for various changes in society. Most notably, the case of Brown versus Board of Education desegregated public schools. I was only 8 at the time, but this was huge. Suddenly, I was sitting next to people of a different race, but I didn't mind. A person's a person, no matter how small, literally and metaphorically. Being separate but equal was suddenly becoming no longer a thing. Not only were there moral advancements, there were technological advancements. A wide spread of electricity across the nation allowed for radios and televisions to be in almost every home. No other generation had this opportunity before. Although it seemed like the American dream, the 50s were also a time of terror. War, communism, the space race. It just made people think, what do I do? Although I was only a preteen, I knew what was going on. Communism was a huge issue that America wanted to avoid at all costs. In an effort to combat this, the Korean War was fought. The war ended in 1953 with 34,000 deaths and a vast amount of injuries. The paranoia of communism was the Red Scare. Communist agents were infiltrating the US, but their disguise was truly a camouflage. No one knew who was a spy and who was not. Senator Joseph McCarthy took the lead in exposing people who were supposedly communist spies who had infiltrated the US. In a turn of events, McCarthy was exposed for its extreme lying, which resulted in the Red Scare being diminished. And that was my life living in the 50s. Although I'm only 17 right now, who's to say what happens in the 60s? Make sure you leave a like and subscribe and comment down below. Thanks for watching!
Created using Powtoon.